Hey friends, before we open this pit up, give me a second to thank our newest Patreon supporter, Chris Lincoln, joining the Emo Veterans. Dude, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It means the world to us. And without further ado, the Miss Murder episode.
So Tom, hey, what's up?
Hey bud.
We're about to talk about a song you really love.
My favorite.
Yeah, no, I actually heard this song at brunch the other day, if you can believe it.
What fucking brunch would that be? Can set the scene.
Well,
we
had some friends over who were driving through to visit some friends before they got engaged. The woman did not know this was an engagement road trip, but the guy was really excited and showed us the ring. It was this little box he saw on a Facebook ad that like twists the ring as it opens and stuff. It was pretty cool. He was so excited, and it was really nice to see some old friends from New Mexico. But we were out on Sunday grabbing like a drink, or what have you, a seltzer, whatever does you, and Miss Murder by AFI was on, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I've mentioned this on the pod before, but as millennials are like not young, and I don't think Gen Z is even young anymore. I think there's probably a new, generation coming up behind Gen Z at this point. 5 to 10 year old news at this point. But I was like, dang, we're getting catered to at brunch with Miss Murder. What the hell? You know what I mean? Like it was like Fuse is following us or whatever. But depending on the bartender working that day, it just felt like, all right, I guess occasionally this will be like The Doors playing on classic rock radio or something will just be like, take my life as like the egg drips out of my Eggs Benedict or whatever onto my toast. A little heavy, I thought, perhaps, but I was like into it because I'm like, cool, like a little emo brunch. That's great. And then we went to a different spot afterwards just to get like, they were visiting, they were hitting the road, but we just wanted to hang out a little more, show them at a little bit of downtown, things like that. But Miss Murder came on again, I guess, for all intents and purposes. It might have been a different AFI song. I'm elaborating the story a little bit, but it was like a second emo playlist at a different establishment downtown. And I went up and talked to the guy. And I was like, hey, whoa, it must be emo day downtown or something. He's like, it's the only way to go, man. I was like, oh, shit. This guy looked like Claudio from Coheed. And I asked him for his quick Desert Island emo albums, and Coheed was one of them. But I actually ran the used MCR take by him that some of the Reministies float out on Twitter. And he was like, that's actually not that outlandish at all. I think the used are way better than MCR. I'm like, oh, it's a movement. Anyway, all of this is to say that, do you agree that you would be all right with AFI blaring through your Eggs Benedict vibes? Well, what's your mood there? What's your take on emo brunch as a concept? And you can leave AFI out of it if that changes your decision-making process.
Yeah, leaving AFI out of it, I think I can get down with emo brunch. Couldn't go wrong with Vindicated over some Huevos Rancheros.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I think I would love it, but there is a part of me that fears visiting my dad in Erie.
The taste of ink over the taste of some mimosas, you know what I'm saying? There's a little something there.
No, I'm dreading the day I go home to Erie to visit my dad or something, and I'm just a kid comes on Froggy 94 or something, which is like the oldies station, which I always thought was really charming. You can sometimes see a Froggy 94.7 magnet in the back of some scenes in The Office.
Yeah, I think it was like Bob before Bob was Bob. Or in the Midwest, there's a string of like, we just play hits from decade, whatever you were a child in, basically. It used to just be like 80s, and then it was like 70s, 80s, 90s, then it was like in the 2000s. And now I think it's probably the 2010s.
Right?
Yeah, I think like our buddy Zach went on a road trip once and was like, yeah, it's like Tom in one state and Bob in the other and Gary in the other. It doesn't matter. It's just like
it's all the same thing.
All basically names of characters Aziz Ansari has played in TV shows, slapped on a radio station, and he just played generic top 150 hits from the last 70 years or whatever.
And there's like no DJ, right? It's just like it's an iPod shuffle just running.
I'm
through.
Sure. But there's like, they program it so that one Maroon 5 song plays every 20 minutes. I think that's the only like thing that they would have done to make it unique. But, and I'm not sitting here complaining about that. I want to make that very clear.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
Anyway, yes, emo brunch. I'm here for it. I was surprised by it, I guess. I think that's really the point of this story is AFI has been top of mind lately. Jeremy hit us up on Twitter asking us why we hate him so much by never mentioning AFI in the show. Another one of our white whales on the show. A couple weeks ago we talked about Census Fail. I wasted a lot of your time talking about a classmate of ours who had the envious black zip-up, logo-less, black skater shoes, dark blue jean, long dark hair look at the football game because people were there, not there to watch or spectate, of course. But he was not listening to Bowling for Soup, that's for sure. He was listening to possibly AFI, a band that I have always felt was a little too cool for me. I don't know if you share those sentiments. Any AFI thoughts at all, Tom? Because this is new charted territory for us.
All right. I'm going to make some enemies within the first 10 minutes of this episode.
Roll up your sleeves. Let's get dirty. Get into it.
So I remember hearing them a bit when I was in 8th grade. I forget who would have introduced me to AFI. Probably James McCallion, because he was just the main music Sherpa for 8th grade. And I remember
Jesse McClanahan was the type of kid that would have listened to AFI or something. Or like there was a skater circle. There was like a hacky sack circle and then there was a skater circle. And one of them was listening to AFI and the other was not.
So Jesse, he was definitely long hair, awesome bangs. But I feel like he was
more rancid or something. I feel like there was definitely
there was a pretty good rancid population at our junior high for sure.
Yeah.
No, I feel like so actually I'm glad you mentioned Jesse because he was like straight emo, but like I knew this guy for years and never heard his voice kind of emo. Like we played marching snare together in the marching band, never heard this dude talk. I spent a whole year just trying to make him smile, never got one out of him.
Very Travis Barker like. Very thoughtful young man.
But my perception of AFI at the time was that it was like a little bit lame. Like it was almost, I mean, I was 12. I had no idea what was going on in the scene. I didn't know.
Don't reel back.
There was a scene.
You came in on a mission. You came in hot before we pressed record. I want to feel that. I want to hear it.
I thought that they were kind of like, again, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but in my 12-year-old brain, they were trying to hit on this certain thing, but it seemed like maybe they weren't actually it, which I think is... Pat, have you ever heard of a poser?
Yeah, for sure. It's like a sex thing.
It's like sex?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That was kind of my thought. Like, I feel like this is music for posers, but I had no idea.
Oh my God. I didn't know you were going to come in that hot. That's...
But I don't know.
We haven't said blazing in weeks,
know.
But that's fucking blazing.
I feel like I heard Billy Talent and AFI on the same day, and I thought Billy Talent felt more like, I don't know, real or something. But I will say, Miss Murder, the only time I've ever heard this song.
It's so funny you said that because definitely people who called Good Charlotte posers wore AFI t-shirts. It's so... funny to hear you say that because that is exactly how that shit went down. Such odd scene infighting, even though we're all in the same group of 20 or 30 people at the same tiny, abandoned movie theater venue on the outside of town or whatever.
Oh my God.
It's like, we hate you guys. It's like, really? You're like the only other people that could be our friends, It's like, Good Charlie rules, you. But also like, hey, you want to go to Eden Park later? I don't know. Such an odd, the infighting is always, in hindsight, like, just... immensely entertaining to me. But also, I don't hate AFI as much as you do, so...
I don't know. I don't hate them, but I don't like the song Miss Murder. I remember whenever I had to play it on Guitar Hero 3, which is the only time I've ever heard this song, I just couldn't wait to get it over with. Same with Barracuda. There were a couple songs I just didn't want to play, but I wanted to...
That's an interesting song to pick from a guitar standpoint. I don't know if you want to hit that now or later.
I mean, it's interesting enough, but going back to Good Charlotte, because I don't want to just gloss over them. Yesterday, at the time of recording, was the 4th of July, and I love the tradition of comparing the national anthem with the anthem by Good Charlotte, and it was like, the national anthem, lame as like the anthem by Good Charlotte actually slaps. Good Charlotte.
I think people brought up Anthem Part 2 by Blink, and also Anthem of Our Dying Day. I saw like a few different versions of that. little internet comics, sometimes known as memes, but yes.
Anyway, AFI. I only knew a couple songs by them back in 2004 or 5. I don't know, listened to a couple and thought it was good enough. Like, they were good enough, or okay enough that I asked Jeeve what AFI stands for. Did you know it stood for something?
I wouldn't have thought to guess. Does it?
A fire inside.
I like that.
Which is pretty... It sounds how they look, right? I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I wonder if they started as that and then people shortened it and they just liked how it sounded over time or something.
Right.
Alexis on Fire being AOF doesn't quite work as well. I like AFI.
AOF.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Jesse because I think I got the Burn CD, one of them from Jay Scott, that crew.
Sure.
Again, untouchably cool.
Oh, yeah. If it's good, it's good.
Yes. Yeah. Like the day I learned about ska, they were learning about their 14th favorite album of ska or something. You know what I mean? They're just like deeper into shit that mattered. Or at least that's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, I think I've told this on the show before where Dancing Through Sunday just made sense in my brain. And that was one of the songs I would play for hours on repeat while playing Snood on the Gateway 95. And enough one day where my mom actually checked in on me just to see if everything was going all right. And to like beg me to stop. But she was just like, we good in here. Also, stop this. What are you doing? It was like, it had to have been 80 or 90, like a legitimately grotesque amount of repeat sessions. Just knocking those little colored bastards off on the journey mode with the tough angles. It's a classic. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't say I'm anti AFI, but they were never one of my favorite. Like, I'm not taking any of their albums with me to the desert island, which is an episode we might try to redo here in the coming weeks. But enough about that. You want to get to some fast facts about this band that was formed a shockingly long time ago?
The year I was born, dude.
Did that shock? You can take the fast facts maybe if you want, but I wanted to say that first one. They started in California in 1990 freaking one. Do you think the bangs and eyeliner were that intense in 91? Like, they couldn't have been. Hair metal was still big then. So like, did they just become an emo band? I'm curious about that trajectory.
I don't know if
91 is way far removed from like, even like Pinkerton, or I think even like, I don't know, does Rites of Spring even date back if we go to like historical emo stance on things? Like, would AFI have even laid claim to that sort of thing? Or were they learning guitar and in their garage and technically a band at that point? That's always kind of interesting to see trajectories and stuff.
So they didn't put out their first album until, oh my God, 26 years ago from yesterday, 4th of July, 1995. Their first album, their first full length was called Answer That and Stay Fashionable, produced by, speaking of Rancid, Tim Armstrong. That's fun.
There you go.
So it was a few years before they put out an album. I wonder what they were doing in 91. Did it look a lot like we did in 2003, just kind of like clowning around in my mom's basement for a bit? I can't imagine the bangs look like that because, okay, to me, the world began in 2004. Like, AFI formed the day that I heard them. I also feel that way about Blink-182. Just like, 2001, Blink-182 became a band. I don't know. That's really fascinating because I always thought emo bangs were like, I don't know, didn't exist before 2003. But again, that's probably just the first time I noticed them. I would like to hear from some of our listeners are a bit older than us. I would like to hear, what was the year you first saw emo bangs? Did they look like this? Do you remember the early 90s? How many emo bangs? I mean, that was grunge still, right?
Yeah, I'd have to say that's why it shocked me a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with bouncing around, finding your sound, and just staying in a band. I mean, I don't think we're punishing them for that. I just saw 91 and was like, this is not a common factoid for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about, in case it hasn't been clear, we're talking about Miss Murder today, specifically the music video, because it's, I mean, it'll be obvious once we get into it why that's one worth talking about on this show. But just a few more things to zip through. Miss Murder was released in April 2006. So 06, that they were releasing their 7th studio album. So they had been productive for sure. Jeez. December Underground was the name. No space. And D at the beginning is the only uppercase. So we're seeing some, I think we did the AIM draft a while ago. I don't know, maybe people were messing with punctuation this whole time, but I'm starting to think like in the digital age you saw, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to say anything stupid. So anyway, this just a theme. Is it a common theme? Is it even a theme? I don't know. We're just seeing this again. People messing with punctuation, but whatever. Initially scheduled to premiere on Live 105 on April 2006, some radio station. I guess Wikipedia didn't let us know where. Like you said, our research didn't go much further than that. And all that means is we didn't go to a different site to look that up. Anyway, there was some sort of premiere scheduled that was scrapped and was released earlier due to overwhelming fan reaction. So there must have been some buzz. That's crazy that they were such an old band, technically speaking.
Yeah.
But there must have been some hype, some buzz building around this particular album, the 7th album, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say 6th or 7th album is like more than a lot of bands even get to. Like, how many bands had the huge commercial success at that point? And I think of Green Day. I think American Idiot might have been their 6th or 7th record, but like, obviously they didn't have Green Day numbers. It's interesting that they had been around for so long. So it leads me to believe that around this time, they probably had a bit of a switch in genre or a transformation over time, because usually if you're doing the same thing for 6 albums, that 6th one isn't so good. So they must have been doing something interesting. I wish I knew more. Constantly feeling like a poser, even though I just called them possibly the posers. I don't know.
No, you're good. I think the story we're piecing together here through, again, if you're coming to the show this week and are this week deciding to be mad with our not exactly super in-depth documentary level research. Anyway, I think the loose story we're piecing together here is that they'd been around for a while, but definitely like a triumph of like staying in the game. I think Miss Murder is the band's most commercially successful single to date. It reached number 24 in the Billboard Hot 100, topping the alternative songs chart, which is pretty great, to hang around and kind of get your due a little bit. I think we don't see that a lot. I think once you hit 2005 and stuff like that, people were signing younger and younger acts like Fall Out Boy and Panic were just hot right away. You know what I mean? They're just like, who are these hot young acts that we can just throw out now that we know this works? But it's interesting to see. This is kind of the first story we've seen of somebody being rewarded kind of later in their career, maybe. It won in the category Best Rock Song at the 06 MTV Video Music Awards and was nominated for the Kerrang! ! Award for Best Single.
Wow.
Talk to me about the production a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought right away, this sounds really fucking good. So I looked it up. It's produced by the late Jerry Finn of Green Day and Blink-182 fame. You hear in some interviews, like before Blink self-titled, that they kind of consider Jerry Finn to be like the 4th member of Blink. Very legendary producer. I mean, he's done a lot of crazy acts like Weezer and stuff too. Just really followed bands throughout their career. I think it's a great production. And you just mentioned, or did you mention the music video was directed by Mark Webb, who we've talked about.
A lot of familiar names this week.
Yeah, he did Helena. I mean, that's to me his biggest, his biggest fame there. We talked about him actually when we did the Shane Drake interview. He was talking about how Mark Webb was kind of like on a much bigger, different level than he and Alan Ferguson were. So if he's working with bigger bands than who Shane Drake was, which is Paramore, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, maybe AFI is way bigger than I'm ever going to give them credit for today. Apologies ahead of time.
No, I think we'll be the first to admit that we thought the bands we knew were the biggest when they just weren't. No, obviously the buzz was real. If they're putting people like Mark Webb and Jerry Finn in the studio with these guys and on set with these guys, it doesn't shock me at all, knowing that those names were a part of what this record release was going to be, that they, whatever that radio, promotion was going to be, that they moved it up soon due to fan reaction, because they were pumping this pretty good if those were the names involved, which had to have been exciting for the people involved. And playing the role beautifully, you noted a bit of a MySpace name connection here as well with the lead singer, Davey.
Yeah, so Davey Havoc, which is just killer MySpace name. His real name is David Pissarro, David Payton Pissarro, which is also a pretty killer name, but Davey Havoc, that's some Shipwreck Beth stuff right there.
There you go. Eat your heart out, Sid Vicious. Davey Havoc rules as a MySpace name and just a good rock name in general. I say playing a part a little bit, not as much as maybe Jared Leto in the Kill music video, which we talked about a little while ago. But this is visibly emo. I think we had the discussion a couple weeks ago where Leto prompted those viral videos felt emo might delete, and that's the amount of eyeshadow used in the Kill video kind of is what YouTube and our, the algorithms, whatever, collective memory. It's like the Berenstain Bears fake memory thing. I forget what that phenomenon's called, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, was it that? But really, Davey Havok in this video was maybe walking the walk a little more. It seemed like he was just that dude for a minute there, but he's definitely. Can we talk about the bangs now and the makeup? Can we just talk about it? Can we set the scene about the look, the general feel of? I mean, I feel like there was a color. The White Stripes get a lot of. Oh, their color scheme was great, but I didn't see anything AFI related that wasn't just black and red, and even on costumes included. Any thoughts on that, especially with this video itself? Because they're decked out.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an overall style. We talk about My Chemical Romance a lot, either from Three Cheers or Black Parade era. They've definitely got, it's almost like pre-steampunk to me or something. Like, it's very goth, but like this elegant, I mean, lots of eye makeup, like glittery eye makeup, not just black or red like you would see on your run-of-the-mill emo.
Yeah, there's almost like Victorian or steampunky or we talked about the snappy dressing emo or the snappy dressing goths a few weeks ago, but this is not exactly your knitted bow tie guy. This is more of I wish this was the Victorian era. Like I wish I was a character in Pride and Prejudice or something. You know what I mean? Just kind of like there's the music video kind of portrays everything you'd kind of expect this level of elegant goth to want to live their life like or something. Yeah, it's interesting because he wears like this many-buttoned coat in this video, and he has the eye makeup and everything like that. And I looked up when Black Parade came out because I wanted to be like, hey, did this song and video walk so that Black Parade could run, or at least in our collective memory as like a quote-unquote scene? But they both came out in the same year. So after talking about The Kill and, being more My Chemical Romance fans than we are fans of AFI, just personally between you and myself, was timing working against AFI to become, we always joke about the All-American Rejects numbers, but you talk about some of the more commercially successful bands. That's not to say AFI didn't sell records, because of course they did, but the timing of having those buttons on that jacket with that eyeliner in a music video in the same year that Black Parade dropped and knocked everyone's fucking socks off on a more maybe commercially widespread level, or at least from my interpretation of things. I don't know, any thoughts on that? Is it bad timing from Davey Havok here after being in the biz since 91, more or less? To like kind of have your biggest record drop the year Black Parade comes out and it's the same look. Like I would have been a little pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's unique enough. Again, like you said, it's a little more Victorian than like, I don't know, marching band theatrical or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be not great to be lumped in as like, oh, they're the emo goth, whatever. It's like the vamp kids from South Park, like, we're not fucking vamps. Like we're goth.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some of that because I don't know if are they more vamp or more goth? I think I don't know. It's like
why not both? We're the pop punk kids from the other side of the room, so it's tough for me to really speak to that culturally without upsetting a bunch of people, which we've already done over the course of this episode so far. Can
I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Digging deeper into the Wikipedia, concluding our research, this album went platinum in the US, 1 million copies sold, #1 on US Billboard 200, #1 on US top rock albums on Billboard. This album was fucking huge.
Yeah. Does it feel huge in retrospect? I think is kind of still my question though. Like AFI, of course, was one of the most successful bands of the era of emo, the 2000s emo we talk about on the show, but like, I don't know. We are present on quote unquote emo Twitter quite a bit. I guess really what I'm saying is for the people that wanted us to do an AFI episode, they don't seem to get the credit they very much fucking deserve.
Yeah. I mean, how
many platinum records do we get to talk about on the show? Other than All American Rejects? Not a fucking ton, quite honestly. Right.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Like, I don't think this is even a bias between you and me. I think, honestly, noting that Black Parade came out that same year, I don't know if it was still a little thunder or not in like as far as like cultural weight or whatever. But yeah, again, we don't get to talk about platinum albums every day. So maybe if we had Davey Havok come on the show, but maybe he feels fine about it. I don't know their lives like that. But AFI is a name that comes up all the time. I'm just wasting your time talking in circles at this point. But anyway, it's just a thought that crossed my brain. Maybe it's big enough for AFI fans and they're living a great life. I don't know. Maybe if you're in the in the shadows off to the side. People don't, I mean, you could do the Weezer thing and just keep coming out with shit until people just end up hating you, even though, whatever. But like, just like, hey, we're good. We had it. We had a platinum album. I feel great. I feel great about everything. I don't know.
Let me break in for a quick second to thank our Council of Elders. These are our top tier Patreon supporters. In this group, we have Andre Prevost, Johnny Leftwich, Jason Carey, Anonymous, Chris Lukey, Nathan Eshelman, and Drew Edwards. Thank you all so much for supporting this show. It really is incredible. It means the world. We're so happy to have you there. If anyone out there is interested in checking out the Patreon, you can head to patreon.com/reminiscent to find post shows, video AMAs, behind the scenes photos and videos. We're just starting to finally roll out that super secret project. You can see all of that in the Patreon. You can support the show in any way that you'd like or not. It's all good. We're just happy to have you here. Thank you all so much. And back to the Miss Murder episode.
Okay, so there are several popular theories as to the meaning of this song, in particular, Miss Murder. They include Satan's fall from grace, Jesus abandoning humanity, Oscar Wilde's 1890 novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, in which Gray sells his soul to preserve his beauty, or Havoc's personal struggle with fame. Different weight to all four of those options. Havoc, it should be noted, refuses to confirm or deny any rumors. He's been quoted as saying, I don't necessarily need for people to understand specifically what it means. If they want to take something from it and use it in a personal way, I think that's great. I wouldn't want to risk destroying that just so someone can get a better understanding of me personally. This is something we talk about on the show a lot. I think there have been conversations between Ben Gibbard and Jim from Jimmy Eat World, Jim Atkins, talking about how like they gave up trying to want fans to get it right, so to speak. Once you release the art, and if it means something important to someone, then it becomes its own special thing, and that doesn't need to be tinkered with as far as the artist is concerned. So it seems to be a similar mentality there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, in trying to find the meaning behind this, I saw a lot of stuff about Hitler, which if you watch the music video...
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you almost got to separate the video from the audio experience.
Well, no, people were saying, like, the lyrics on its own had strong correlations to Hitler, and then it said it's further backed up by the video. So let me read something that I found on, like, Song Facts. This was, like, a fan submitted. Dude, there was so many comments about the meaning of this song, and... a couple things just before I get into that. I want to say that's probably incredible because if no one really knows what it's about, that means more people can relate to it as they insert their own meaning and claim the song was written for them, about them, whatever. But also, since it's such a loaded thing, it's either about Christ, the devil, or Hitler. Those are such polarizing topics that of course they don't want to say, no, it's about this one thing, because then you could alienate all the other people that are on the other side of the aisle there. So I think it's smart to say, like, people don't need to know what I was thinking because it's A, not relevant, B, could be very polarizing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast between Malcolm Gladwell and Michael Lewis, who wrote Moneyball and The Blind Side and Liar's Poker and things like that, writes about Wall Street a lot. And Malcolm Gladwell is saying, like, all of your books have, like, this basic biblical theme, like The Blind Side is kind of like The Good Samaritan, et cetera, Liar's Poker, The Lion's Den, whatever. And the author was playing coy and messing with him. It was one of those at the New York City YMCA podcast or whatever, and he was, like, playing it cool and joking with Gladwell. But, Gladwell's theory was, like, that's such a core message that of course your books are going to do great. These are all the best modern day retellings of like some biblical stories that like Aesop's fables, like so widely accepted that make such core sense to us as human beings, these stories that have been kind of repeated and wear different clothes through the years. But it's interesting to hear you say that because maybe that does apply here. There's something about this hit song, aside from the key signatures that you're going to talk about later or whatever. But there's something about this song that on a very real level hits a number of chords with people on a very deep way. And obviously when a record goes platinum, often that's not by accident. So after years of writing, maybe they were just in the zone on this and just writing stuff that just made sense to people and rocked and was just fundamentally good and objectively good. I don't know. But theme-wise, no one seems to have a very, like, girl the bad guys want, like, it's pretty clear he's just making fun of Fred Durst and wants to, like, have sex with this girl that he knows. But this seems to have a little bit more of a complex theme, possible set of themes going on.
Yeah. It's interesting how every story is like the hero's journey or good and evil, right? Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all the big ones, Twilight probably. Yeah. Anyways, music video. There's like a lot to talk about, but also not that much going on.
On a week where we weren't already running along a little bit, I might back up and be like, just threw Twilight in there at the end. And part of me wants to talk about that a little more. I got nothing against it. Decode's a very beautiful music video, and Shane Drake was gracious enough to come on this show and talk about it. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm down with it. Sure. Yeah. A classic tale of good and evil. I suppose that's true. I've never seen the movies. I'll have to watch them before I comment. So I'm sorry.
I haven't either, but
let's go on Instagram Live and just let her rip. Let's do a full rewatch. I say rewatch. We just admitted we never did it the first time. So a full watch. Anyway, yeah, sorry to derail. All
good. So the music video, there's two versions on YouTube. There's a short version and an extended version.
Yeah. Let's talk extended if you don't mind.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. First question, goth fever dream? Question mark?
It's a goth fantasy for sure. I mean, huge castle, the hair, the eye makeup.
Yeah, we're talking about scene factions. We were trying to split goth into 2 or 3 things about 10 minutes ago. Paint with a more broad brush. This is Goth Week here at Reminiscent FM. Welcome to Goth Week. We're talking goth stuff. Purloin letters and shit. I mean, there's a lot of like stamping things and gasping looks and looks over the shoulder and flowy coats. And, this is fucking goth and it's beautiful.
Hell yeah. We talk about the band in a box a lot, which is like the band that has a restricted budget. So they build, 3 plywood walls in the ceiling. This band has a castle mansion, so they're working with a little bit more money, a little bit more firepower.
And it's not one of the ones we've seen a lot. Like half of me expected this to be the blank space mansion or something. Like we see a lot of like common video beaches or woods or things like that. We even talked to Shane Drake about that a little bit, but I didn't really seem to recognize this from anywhere, and it's kind of its own thing out of nowhere, and it's very, I don't know, I guess shout out to Mark Webb who went on to do insane things, but this is a whole ass mood, if I dare say, Tom.
Let me, I just Googled Miss Murder Castle location and a lot of other different stuff came up. So I was trying to see if there was, because
like every true crime pod comes up on that Google search. You're like, shit, true crime got too popular in the last 7 years for that Google search to make any sense.
Apparently there's something called Murder Castle in Chicago. So
I'm sure there is. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of AFI fans have been there, if I'm being honest. So.
Okay, so what is in the long version that's not in the short version? A totally different song.
Yeah,
I've never heard this.
Kind of this anthem, very drum heavy, kind of a chant almost. But it's still, it's still got a nice, I don't know, like it's pleasant enough to listen to, but it's kind of obviously an intro to something.
I like the interlude more than the song itself, which might be from the album. I've never heard the album. I kind of dug it, but at first I was like, shit, I feel like I've heard Miss Murder before, and I don't recognize this at all. But it was just an interlude to the song. I really liked it.
Yeah, some of the repeated lyrics throughout, kiss my eyes and lay me to sleep, as people are kind of stomping and clapping. Kind of very powerful, set up kind of the yelling to a crowd thing later, but it also sets up the story, right? You see a woman sitting down, again, a lot of goth elegance, stamps, piece of paper, wax, purloined, whatever the this is goth as shit. And she's doing something. And then Davey is standing there. His eyes are closed and he's pondering, as goths are wont to do. Silently pondering, that is. And he begins singing. And it's like, okay, kiss my eyes, lay me to sleep. Where the drums are kicking in, people are clapping, stomping, all that stuff. The band is setting up within the mansion. You're like, okay, so this is really setting up every single kind of storyline in the video, every shot we're going to see later. And then it gets kind of funny how many times the woman is folding the piece of paper after a while. Like, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Now the folding's getting kind of up. And it reminds me of those like PBS, Zoom, Lamb Chops play along project challenges. But like, try to fold a piece of paper 7 times. You can't do it. I'm like, as a kid, like, there's no way I can do it. Oh my God, she's right. Any size paper can't be folded. It's ever done. I'm like, oh my God, Lamb Chop, you did it again, you son of a bitch. Tell Charlie Horse to suck it. He was with me. He thought he could do it. Anyway, she folds it really small, places it on her tongue, And it ends up where, Tom? She puts it in her mouth. Where were you? Where was your head at that point?
I didn't know what to expect, but I couldn't have guessed that it would have come out of Davy's mouth. If we're going to draw the parallels again, in Harry Potter, there was that chest. I forget what it was called. It was like the
Twilight chest.
The Twilight chest. I think that that might.
Sorry, I don't mean to belittle any fantasy. We love it here. We love it, don't we, folks? Here at Reminiscent, we love the fantasy.
I've got a wand from Harry Potter World on my desk right now, so
very nice.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, comes out of his mouth, and around then is when the song starts, right?
Yeah, I think there's something important to note here is that it is revealed throughout all of this that there are 3 rabbits on the note that she's folding and putting in her mouth and then transporting it magically to his mouth. And he pulls out and just reads and he sets it down. He's all pissed off or whatever. I would say spurned. I think I'd go that far. He feels spurned perhaps in these moments. But yeah, the 3 rabbits are visuals from the album, as I understand it. Is that correct? Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah. So on the album, there's 3 hares in a circle, which I Googled. 3 rabbits, came up 3 hares. And there's actually like a very deep spiritual history to the 3 hares, often reflected in Middle Eastern and some European religious artifacts. And what's interesting that I was able to deduce in my extensive research, usually in the religious symbols, the 3 hares are head into the circle and they're each sharing an ear, so that there's only 3 ears in the imagery, but there's 3 rabbits, so there should be 6, whatever. In their artwork, the rabbits are heads facing out. I don't know if there's any significance to that, but if you Google 3 hares, they're all face in. On December Underground, it's face out. I don't know if there was some commentary behind that, but reading that Davy grew up Catholic, I wonder if there's like they're turning their back on the religious motif. Maybe there's some things about.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the guilt of only reading Wikipedia comes out this week. Tom said, I can't just shit talk AFI blindly without looking into some religious artifacts. I'm very on board with this level of, this is multi-website reading here. This is
Yahoo Answers, baby. Just kidding.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. to a true king, to a true queen, whatever it was to you. That's fine with me. Okay, so real quick, couple of email questions real quick before we get into the music, etc. Best bangs of any video we've done so far.
Oh, yeah.
True, false, thoughts?
Totally. Even the drummer of the starting line with his bleached, these are like down to the chin. They're pretty good,
this isn't.
man.
Yeah, this isn't just Forever the Sickest Kids where there's like different directions for it. Or Haley always, of course, had great bangs, this and that. So yeah, starting line stuff we talk about on the show. This is coming from one side of the hairline, one crease, over the eyebrows, which, Christopher Drew, Never Shout Never, we talked about bangs on the show before, but these are coming down to the collarbone of the other side.
It's pretty gnarly.
Insane. And he throws it over the ear sometimes, but there's a lot of bang itself. Well, even if it's not the best bangs, that's kind of a loaded question. These are easily the most bangs we've seen in the video on the show. So shout out. I mean, you think about the old Guinness Book of World Records or almanacs you'd have to flip through before the internet, and you'd see like, oh, that fingernail dude, that's so crazy. Well, this could be like, yeah, Davey Havoc, longest bangs in the fucking scene for sure.
I've been watching a ton of Battlebots on Discovery Plus. Like, unironically, it's my favorite show I've ever seen in my life.
At this point, months, plural. Tom really has, we've had phone conversations for like 3 months ago, I want to say. He's like, yeah, I've been getting into Battlebots. It's 3 hard months of Battlebots binging. I
have ordered merchandise from some of my favorite Battlebots teams.
There you go.
Go Hypershock. But anyway, in later seasons, there's a team called Chronos that is, it's not a full body spinner. It's the outer ring spins. Anyway, they're like this goth, I just said the word earlier, steampunk kind of thing. And the team leader looks like he took his whole aesthetic from this video. I'll put a link in the show notes. Team Chronos.
I kind of just want to root for them.
They're not very good.
As you would. Oh, okay.
But everyone
AFI
tries
motif.
Right. Anyways, lots of bangs. Love it.
Lots of bangs.
Oof, I love
it. Lots of Marshall amps as well. Have you ever seen this many stacks in real life? They line up the whole wall. They're ready to blow I guess they're just ready to blow, man. They're ready to get after it. They're set up. It's a 4-piece band, as far as I understand it, as far as the video suggests. But they have enough amps to do Woodstock, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's a lot, Tom. It's a lot of amps, I think, is really what I'm trying to say.
It's nuts, man. You know, there's some really fun pictures of, I don't know if it was like AC/DC or one of those big bands where who would it have been? Where they have the wall of Marshall amps, like literally dozens of them, and someone took a picture. Sound. Yeah, I think it might, or like Vines.
I'm kidding.
Or no, what were the name? Like Vines, Wiener Twine. That is the Hush sound.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
I was making the joke just because like Vines, Wiener Twine, I don't really think of just like Getty or Geddy Lee or Angus Young or anything, just like bouncing around, just throwing distortion at people's ears. They're just singing about picnic baskets and shit, which is great. I'm not downplaying either of those. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
But anyway,
there's a lot of fucking amps in this shot.
There was a photo from behind the stage at one of those shows, and all of the amps were empty. It was just the wood shell with the fabric over it, the speaker cloth. Like there were no speakers in it, because when you perform at a venue, they just mic a single speaker. So all the rest are just for show. And I was actually, I just pre-ordered a baritone guitar from the lead guitarist of Saosin, Bo Burchell. And I was like Googling stuff about the guitar, trying to find videos. And there was a video from Fluff, who does riffs and beards. It was like a behind the scenes where he was hanging out with Saosin, and they were shit talking Black Veil Brides and how they have like a wall of cabinets like this, and they were like collapsible. So like they shipped flat, and then you would kind of take them, twist a piece, and they were like not only cabinets without speakers, but they were fake cabinets themselves. Because a lot of those bands just play with like impulse responses, and they're not even using amps or cabs or anything. It's all, you know, run through the house sound. I just think it's so funny when you see so many of those cabs, you know nothing's in them. And also it's interesting, you can't even see an amplifier on the set there. But I was looking at live videos of Miss Murder, and I found one in late 2018 where the bassist had his 3 8x10s, which is insanity, and the guitarist had his 6 cabs lined up, no amplifier. Crazy consistency between a music video from 2016, a live performance from 2019. It was pretty great. I love that.
Interesting insight. I guess if you're doing a video for show isn't such a sin, but no, I was just taken aback by the number.
They're all lip syncing it anyway. I mean, it's not the actual performance, so who cares? The guitar's probably not even plugged in.
A very less technical interpretation of this scene. It looks pretty badass.
It does.
Yeah. Your input was way more useful and informative, but I will also add that, this kicks ass a little bit, bro.
Oh my God. So
okay, one quick note.
Sure.
Everyone in this house is a vanity mirror.
And yeah.
And vanity mirrors everywhere. Elegant goths, very mindful of the look. Can't knock it. We're all a little vain, I think, inside, deep down, but elegant goths are just not afraid to say it and have the vanity mirrors to prove it.
I also thought it was really funny how useless all the vanity mirrors were, because they were off to the side so that the camera could get their face in the mirror and not get their own reflection. So like they weren't even looking in the mirror.
No, yeah, it was definitely Mark Webb trying to get different types of shots to
but it's good.
But I
it's
think
awesome,
also it fits. Yeah, it definitely works. But I had that same thought. Good point. Okay, song begins. The most important question probably of the episode. Is it a power move of all power moves to start your song with the chorus? It's pretty rare. Yeah. And I'm excited to talk about it because they just get right the into it, man.
Sometimes you'll hear a song starting with an instrumental chorus, but just going into like the lyric. I know that there's other examples of this. I can't think of anything offhand, but that's like burying all the small things at track 8. You know, it's so good that either people will wait for it or you don't need to build to it. It's just there. It is what it is. It's a power move for sure. Yeah.
Very into it because you're like, where does the song go from here? But it's like, it's just a song, man. You don't have to overthink it. It's just a good one. So that definitely, because I had misremembered that. I didn't, that caught me by surprise when we started listening and watching kind of in preparation for this episode. I was like, oh, nice. Anyway, Davey, I think his character here, again, got the buttons, the jacket, very almost Black Parade-y, but AFI is doing their own thing, of course, but both in 2006, unfortunate timing, like I mentioned. Anyway, he pulls, that thing where there's a paper in your mouth that came from somewhere else. It all annoys us all, folks. Believe me. We've all been there. And then what do you do in that scenario, right? We're all listening to Delilah on the radio, and the common advice in that situation is to go address the masses that are waiting outside your window. And, that's what Davey does. He goes to his balcony to address the masses. And do you want to walk us through that, Tom? Because it's some of the, World War II era imagery or energy or themes that we touched on earlier a little bit become pretty obvious visually during these few frames.
Yeah, they drop the 4 banners from these huge stone walls, which are the 4 band members' faces, which is like the propaganda poster. I don't know, imagine a hammer and a sickle instead of their faces or something. Or the swastika, which is like what they're... let me read to you something that someone wrote on whatever website. The singer is relating himself to Hitler in this sense while singing about the concept of Christ. Like those men, he is a public face with followers and suffering through a similar inner struggle between two natures, but with the realization that God is not here and that the consequences of that realization to the self and to the world, he finds himself losing faith. So he's asking if he can retain his ideals by killing himself rather than suffer to watch himself become an antichrist, and also asking if he will be saved for doing this. Which is pretty gnarly. Again, the dude grew up Catholic, so I get it. Like, that's super intense. But yeah, he's addressing the masses. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to this.
Well, and here's what I wrote down. People have obviously thought about this longer and harder than we have over the last few days as we've been kind of Googling. Yeah. There's a scene where the woman is walking around the grounds, the woman who folded the note and ate it, and she's obviously magical as well, which is insane, which is isn't really addressed throughout the episode, the music video, but that's okay. And there's a part where she lays a black bunny down and they multiply a lot. I was thinking about that movie The Favorite at the end with all the rabbits for a minute there. But also, while he's waving his fist and stuff, you think about Dwight on The Office, when Jim convinces him to mimic Mussolini and everything like that at the sales conference. Got a little bit of a vibe of the hyena number in the animated Lion King, where they're Scar's firing the hyenas up, gassing them up a little bit to go carry out his bidding and everything once Simba, departs. So this isn't something that I guess they invented mimicking. This is obviously a powerful part of human history, I guess, that people have tried to capture, even Disney, animated Disney musical numbers and everything like that. But he's going for it. He's waving his fist like a motherfucker. But it's interesting how many people have chosen to, in their reviews of this, tie the religious connection to it, based on Davey Havok's, like you said, Catholic upbringing that you mentioned that he had, everything like that. But for as warlike as it is, there is kind of some religious undertones that it's interesting to me that so many people are kind of chiming well, I think it's this and a little bit more Jesus related.
Well, also it's interesting over the past 6 years, especially, there's been a lot of comparisons to Hitler. This one seems to have a lot of traction to it. They're leaning into it. It's just interesting to see. I don't know. I wouldn't want those visuals in my music video, but clearly they're getting to a point. Also, if I committed suicide, would I retain this visual of whatever leader in good graces, which is Hitler, quote unquote, committed suicide, right? Or went to Argentina. Who knows?
Yeah, I want to maybe stop talking about Nazis for a second.
Sure.
Forever. And yeah, I don't really want to glorify that anymore. And it's a theme in the video, so I'm glad we touched on it. But there's a much more interesting thing to me, Nazis.
I'm not glorifying anything.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying in my head, I'm looking through the notes, I'm maybe we just stop talking about Nazis for a while. You said you owned a rabbit once. I'm much more interested in you owning a rabbit as a kid than that. Obviously, the themes in the video are obvious, but I think we spent enough time on that. Switch gears. You had a fucking rabbit? That's crazy. I never knew that.
So when I was dating Stephanie, she wanted a rabbit, and she got a rabbit. She named it Junior Mint. And
That's very cute.
She considered it ours and that we were practicing for when we have a baby together because while we are now 14, we will be getting married eventually and raising a family. But it really
Man, ladies and gentlemen, if you've listened to the pod for as long as we've been doing it, bless you, and you have peeled so many fucking onion layers off of Tom's cold, dead icebox where his heart used to be body. That is a particular nugget that I was so unaware of. My hands, I don't know what to do with my hands after hearing that. That's amazing.
But what ended up happening was...
How have I not heard this? Oh my God.
So she had a cat named Patches. And days after she brought this rabbit home, the cat... We walked into the house one day and there was a rabbit without a head in the middle of the living room floor. And it was not Junior Mint. It was a wild rabbit, but it was like, I don't know. It seemed very foreboding. Like the cat was giving a warning. And so this cat who was nothing other than sweet, they just kept it outside all the time because they didn't want it to kill the rabbit. But then she also really didn't want to take care of the rabbit. So they kind of locked it in the second bathroom all day. And it was like she brought this rabbit into the house, but then all the family pets just got f***ed because of the situation. I don't know. Kids shouldn't be in charge of live animals, but either way, there was a rabbit. I don't know what happened to it. We ended up breaking up not too much longer, but it would shit all over the floor. And I was like, why do you have a rabbit?
You weren't fighting to keep the rabbit in the breakup, it sounds like.
Right.
Let's cover up a few things before the video ends here. There's a bass part where he's just punching the strings more or less, really owning the scene where the bass player gets some love. The song opens with it. Thoughts on just him punching his guitar, pretty much the top string, just really playing that thing.
Speaking of consistency, he still does that in the live performance to this day, but this easily could have been on the bass draft. I mean, he's wailing the whole song, but the intro is pretty, they're really giving him a pretty good space to stand out.
Yeah, we try to be transparent on the show. We whiffed on that one big time. It should have been taken in the early rounds on that one.
Instead, you put the 2-note Newfound Glory song.
Dum, 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 dum. Those instrument drafts are dangerous. I'm so nervous to do the drum one over the next few weeks.
I
it's
can't
gonna
wait.
Be a fucking mess. We're gonna it'll be fun. You're a drummer, so it's gonna. I know I'm gonna lose, but I'm still gonna try. Google pop punk drum parts plus Reddit. Enter. Just read a bunch of threads and copy what other people think. Yeah.
Get those Boolean searches going.
Okay, underrated gang vocal song. Just yelling, hey, but like there's a little bit, there's some energy to this song. I like it. I think it's a hit.
You know what's interesting is...
For as goth as they are, it's a very approachable pop hit, I think.
So
I don't mean that with venom. I think it's a terrific, it's just a hit.
Sure. All right, so this song is written in a compound time signature, which is 12 over 4. It's you count 1, 2, 3, 4 for the measures, but it's subdivided into triplets. And I'm not a huge fan of that time signature. I don't think it lends itself to like great songs. Think of Holiday by Green Day. What's interesting is I immediately thought of Holiday by Green Day. And when you mentioned the gang vocals, the Haze, I thought, hey, there's Haze in Holiday by Green Day. Are there Haze in every compound time signature song?
Yeah, somebody mash that up and send it to us if it doesn't already exist.
Ooh. Wait, that was Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Wonderwall, right?
No, I know, but I'm saying like someone should...
it would be good. It would be very good.
Mash them together, send them our way. Or just mash them, boil them, put them in a stew.
Potato. Yeah, I would love to hear that mashup. And both of those songs are famous enough. I'm sure you can find the multi-tracks of them. So
yeah,
Adrian, get on it.
There you go. Take My Life, an all-timer emo chorus. Where we at X-Wise? Quick thoughts there.
Take My Life. Yeah.
Give them something the kids will cry for is what this personifies for sure.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Wow. It's a good one. I think there's probably a lot of lines from this song that could be aim away messages, making the angst meter jump a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Quick scream technique in the bridge. This is a very breakdowny, screamy. This is 2006. We're in it. This isn't early decade stuff. We're in it for sure in a big way here in 2006. Thoughts on the screaming technique? Thoughts on the bridge in general?
I perceived this type of scream, like the super vocal fry, to be kind of moving out of vogue at this time. It seems very pre-2005 to me, which again, this band's been around forever. Their 6th or 7th or 9th album. Yeah, it's super like, so when people say screamo, I think of this type of scream as screamo. I think you said that like the Alexis on Fire scream was more palatable to you than most. I find it to be less palatable, but it's good. I think it's a well done, like high pitched vocal fry. It's good, but very pre 2005 to me.
Gotcha. Let's wrap up the video here. She lets rabbits loose. They multiply quickly. They're overrunning the mansion. Obviously, the memory of her will not die very soon, despite her leaving, it seems. And he's fired up. He's firing up the crowd. He's not very pleased, spurned, whatever. She's leaving. So he's stuck with a bunch of rabbits, or so we think, as she makes her exit, kind of quietly behind the masses, as it were. But despite the masses and the fist waving and the flags and the imagery, she taps him on the shoulder at the end. What the hell's going on here, Tom? Take a stab.
Yeah, she taps him and he kind of looks like, I don't know if annoyed. It's not like scared. It's not angry. It looks more like annoyed. I'm wondering if the woman is deaf, maybe? Is that conceivable?
Yeah, for the first couple watches, I wanted to just take it at face value and, you know, what is it, like the one thing, it's not a take, it's like, you know, whoever said man only does things because of, you know, their sexual drive or whatever, that like drives every decision humans ever make or whatever. It'd be disrespectful to whoever that is, it escapes my mind, to call that a fucking take. It's like, whatever. But yeah, I just thought it was like, oh, my girlfriend left, I'm going to go out to the mass. I don't know. I didn't know what to think because, again, there's so many, I don't know. As soon as we started working in the dock and there were so many religious undertones and stuff, I'm like, I don't know what to think. And I don't think it's on me to guess. So is she deaf is your question to me now. Maybe it's his religious upbringing will never not be a part of him. And that's with the rabbit note and things like that. I don't know. As much as he screams and says he's not about it, it'll always be there, spreading within him.
Always be there. For sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it death? I don't think it's death. But that's not a bad guess. We're talking about a goth fever dream here, so that's got to be on the table as far as options go.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, again, like I said at the beginning of the music video discussion, there's a lot to talk about, but also not. Like mirrors, rabbits, woman, folded piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, we had enough AFI stuff to catch up on. But yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. There's a great long intro. It's a very fun, very emo music video, very 2000s music video. But yes, I think that sums it up because I'm not going to take a guess. I think enough people have really taken big ass swings trying to guess. And if nobody's landed on anything yet, then we're not going to solve that here. Tweet at us at _reminiscentfm if you know what the hell's going on. As soon as the note went in her mouth and came out of his, I was like, I'm out. I don't know what this is. But I was very entertained, and I think this song is a hit. I like it. Sounds like we differ a bit on AFI fandom. Neither of us are diehards, though, it sounds like. And I'm glad we had a chance to get to this because I think we only have a few white whales left. That's not to say that we're only going to talk about the white whales once and then bail forever, although maybe, but probably not. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, I think the only one left on the calendar would be to get to, what's the name of that one band, Tom? MCR is way better than them.
Ooh.
No, we'll get to the used at some point, you monsters. All their reminiscences and reminefews can rest easy knowing that someday it'll happen. Anyway, that's all I really got this week. I think you're right. I don't think we have to complicate it much more than that. We've put in some time here.
Sure. Well,
you read up on religious artifacts. I mean, that's a good effort. We came here, we gathered. I hope you had some fun. I know I learned some stuff. Shout out to AFI for being together for, hey, happy 30th anniversary to AFI. There you go.
Oh,
there you. Jesus. That's a lot of, yeah, that's, might as well be the Foo Fighters. That's a lot of decades, bruh.
Well, give me a song of the week.
You give me a song of the week.
Give me Splash featuring VIQ by Hotel Pools. It's a pretty good synthwave, chill hop, lo-fi, whatever. Not his best album, but a really good track from it. Big fan.
Here's a question. Have we picked Olivia Rodrigo's Good For You as a song of the week on this program?
No, and that's a goddamn shame.
Yeah, I think if it's not obvious that we feel here on the show that whoever was comparing it to Paramore was misled by, the female lead singer trap that everyone falls into.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to talk about that at all, but it was fun to hear the guitars. Obviously, the angstometer was popping on that one. And it's catchy and it's good. And we're late to this, but I'll throw that out there. It's been on the radio. Been enjoying it. Lots of love there. But yeah, I don't know if we're on board with the Paramore comps, but
no, not
yeah, it's
not
fun. I'm into it for sure.
People talk a lot about like the revival of pop punk and how it's different and Travis Barker's leading the charge, yada, yada. But they used Good For You as part of that example of how it's coming back. I wouldn't really call it pop punk, but it's super good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a hit song.
Hit song. All right, cool beans, man. Well, glad we got to talk about AFI.
Hello, fellow kids. I'm aware of one of your hit songs by... All right, that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah.
That was fun. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay Scott, for everything,
man.
quite honestly.
Well, I love you all.
I hope you're well.
I love you, Jay Scott. I love you, Pat. Love the reminiscences.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate every episode we've ever done to Jay Scott. I hope you're having a great time, bud, wherever you are.
Sounds fair. All right, man. To the post show.
All right. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, friendos, thank you so much for bearing with us through this episode. I know we're not the biggest Miss Murder or AFI fans, but we did it for you because we love you and you asked for it. Hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. Let us know what episodes you're hoping to hear next. Do you like this song? Do you like compound time signatures? We gotta know. Let us know. We're always happy to talk. We'll talk to you all next week. Love you all. Bye, everyone.